seconds.
Okay. Hold on. No, that didn't happen. In chapter, hold on. Let me tell you, right? Hold on, excuse me. What's your name again? Cecil. You seem like a nice guy.
Even read that.
Right? Wait, no. Look, he seems like. No, do you know what? Can I say? No. Listen. Tessa, yeah?
Bukhari as well. Read it.
Listen. You seem like an open-minded person. You seem like a human being that is willing to engage with fruitful conversation, and perhaps even potentially understand things as they are meant to be understood. Now, in the Quran, in Surah An-Najm, which is chapter 53, which you referenced before, the whole point of that surah, of that chapter, was to get people away from believing in many idols and to believe in one God. Furthermore, the prostration you're referring to is actually misconceived it completely. There is a prostration. Hold on. Listen, excuse me, let me finish, right? Actually, the opposite happened. So the Qurayshi Arabs, because of the power of the Quran, people have to understand something, right? The Quran, as it relates to the Arabic language, is a miracle. We believe as Muslims, I can speak the Arabic language, and it penetrates the heart. So as the Arabs who are stuck in their polytheism heard these verses in Surah An-Najm, chapter 53 of the Quran, they, despite being polytheists, prostrated with the Prophet in this verse of prostration. Because as we said before, there are 15 verses of prostration according to majority of scholars, 14, some scholars say 14. But these verses, when you read them, you're meant to prostrate. Having said that, so what you've understood is actually the opposite of the reality.
So you're saying that never happened?
What I'm saying is the opposite happened. So you're saying that the Prophet prostrated to the idols. What I'm saying to you is that the people of the idols prostrated to the one God that the Prophet told.
You're going to read the
Okay, I know the tafsir. Tafsir. All right. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll reference the tafsir right now without even looking at it. Tafsir Ibn Kathir and Tabari and Al-Qurtubi. All of them.
And even Ishaq.
No, Ibn Ishaq is not a tafsir. That's how I know. It's sirah. But let me just teach you something, right? Because I know you're an open-minded person who wants to learn about Islam. So I'm going to tell you that Ibn Ishaq is a collection of weak and strong hadiths, and some hadiths are even mawdu'a or fabricated. So we don't take it as a reference. We take Bukhari Muslim as a reference, and we take the Quran as a reference, and we take the other books as a reference. But those other books that are outside of Bukhari and Muslim, we have to do isnad checking. We have to check whether the authenticity of the hadith. Yeah. Ibn Ishaq is not a hadith book, so you can't reference that. Ibn Kathir, Al-Tabari, Al-Qurtubi, any tafsir. Actually, these are the classical ones like that. That reference. Al-Jalalain doesn't reference this. Al-Jalalain only references the nuances, the linguistic nuances. I'm talking about this incident is referenced by Ibn Kathir, Al-Qurtubi, Al-Tabari. They all say that even with some hadiths with weak chains of narration, some of them with strong chains of narration, that this happened. That the Qurayshi Arabs, right, and I can read it out to you in the Arabic if you want me to, but he said that the Qurayshi Arabs, when they heard this verse, they prostrated to the one God. So what you're saying is that, no, he told them to prostrate to, I mean, this is just not, it's not correct.
Let's just say that one of us is lying and one of us is wrong.
No, it's not one of us is lying.
So what do I bring?
The thing is, can I ask you a question? Have you read Ibn Kathir?
Not all of it, no.
Okay.
I had it on my phone.
No, excuse me, hold on. Do you know how big Ibn Kathir's tafsir is?
Okay, let me get...
Excuse me, you're a painter or decorator, yeah?
Yeah.
If you were to spend all your time reading Ibn Kathir, you would not have no job, my friend. You're a painter and he paints houses. He thinks Ibn Kathir is...
Let me get...
Well, hold on, excuse me, my friend. If you spend all your days and nights trying to, not even reading, trying to read Ibn Kathir, you would not succeed.
Of course.
Because Ibn Kathir requires someone who knows hadith, someone who understands the Arabic language, and someone who understands the context. So for you to get to that level, you would need a lifetime. So instead of going through that whole process, you can take it from me firsthand. I'm someone who, I'm not saying this to, you're not Muslim, I'm a Muslim. I'm someone who knows more than you in this regard. So take it from me. I've read these tafasir in these ayat, these verses that you're talking about, and you can double check it. Now it's on camera.
So it never happened?
What I'm telling you what happened. I'm telling you that the Prophet...
The opposite happened.
The opposite happened. The Prophet read the verses in Surah An-Najm, chapter number 53 of the Quran. And then the Qurayshi Arabs, they prostrated to the one God, even despite the fact that they were polytheists.
My brother, the agreement was, according to the actual narration, is that if you accept our gods, we will bow down with you.
What are you talking about?
That's That's why they bow down.
What narration are you talking about? Okay, give me the narration that you're talking
You
about.
talk about Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari.
No, Sahih Muslim. Where is Sahih Muslim? In the Sahih. Okay, you can't say this. Look, you can't look. I mean, it's not. Look, if I said to you, look, if I excuse my friend, he all he's doing is just mentioning names and expecting us as sheep to follow it. Okay, right, he's right. My friend, get me a.
No. He's just explained to you Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Ishaq are not necessarily source of information.
Yeah, that's right. And even if there were, Ibn Ishaq doesn't have this information. Yeah, that's right.
Support you because we don't necessarily accept.
Are you a Christian, my friend, or what are you?
He's a Christian. He's a Christian.
Yeah.
But I think he's been battered in his belief so badly that he's ceased to believe in Trinity.
All right.
And he's more. It's true, isn't it? Trinity's been wiped away from him, which is alhamdulillah. He's coming towards Tawheed.
Do you know I like this guy?
No, not such thing.
I like it.
Tawheed is not in the Quran.
All right, okay. Tawheed is not such thing.
No, it's not in the Quran.
Okay, it's not in the Quran.
Not in the Quran.
It's even in the Bible.
word Tawheed is not in the Quran.
You know, Tawheed, yeah, okay. Tawheed is basically, it's called a masdar, mu'awwal, yeah? A masdar in Arabic is like a gerund in English. If you know something about, grammar, you might understand what I'm talking about. Wahada is the process of making or believing in one God. And yuwahid al-shakhs al-ilah, to believe in one God. Tawheed is the process of doing it. Of course, that's not going to be mentioned in the Quran in the gerund form. But the idea of Tawheed is in every verse of the Quran.
The idea is there because it's monotheist.
Pardon?
Because it's monotheist.
It just means monotheist. Tawheed means to believe in one God.
Things that are not in the Quran that you'll find in.
You'll find that Tawheed is even mentioned. And since you're a Christian, let's make this into more of an interfaith dialogue. It's mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 6, verse number 4. It says, listen to this, please. I know this man is waiting to listen. So I'm going to tell the camera, and I'm going to tell this brother here, Tessie, what it says in Deuteronomy, chapter number 6, verse number 4. It says, Shema Yisrael. What does it say? It says, Shema Yisrael. Adonai, Elohino, Adonai Echad. It says, Hero Israel. Say it.
Our God is one God.
Yes, our Lord, the Lord is one Lord. This is the process. This is Tawheed. So it's not only mentioned in the Quran, but no doubt it's even mentioned in the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And that is why in John chapter number 5, verse number 30, Jesus Christ, he said, I do not submit my will, I submit to the Father, right? I submit my will to the will of the Father. So having said this, the Old Testament confirms Tawheed, which is the idea of worshipping and believing in one God. The New Testament confirms Tawheed, which is the idea of worshipping and believing in one God. And the Quran confirms Tawheed. This is a very...
Accepted.
Accepted. Thank you.
But there's one problem with that. The God of the Quran is not the same God as the Bible.
Okay, well...
That's the problem.
Well, okay, now we're talking. Now we've gone into the crust of it, to the thick of it.
Good.
Now Tessie is going to listen to me, and I'm going to listen to Tessie, and we're going to have a conversation here about...
Can I lean against the fence, because I'm getting a bit wind.
It's all right. Let him lean against the fence. But believe me, if
that's not going to help me, I know. But
no. I'm not going to say that. No. I like you. I like his demeanor, by the way. I think this is a good conversation.
Just stand there so we can say something.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course.
No, you needed a little bit roughing up.
All right. No.
In the Quran, it says, come, this reason.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, you're right.
So I believe in talking and bring your...
In the Quran it says... In the Quran it says... I like it. So you've got a lot of Arabic vocabularies there. A little bit, mashallah. It says in the Quran, Ya Ahl al-Kitab, oh people of the scripture, تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله ولا نشرك به شيئا. That let's come to a common agreement to only believe in one God, and let's not associate any partners with that one God. Now, having said that, we agree now, me and you both agree, that Tawheed, or the idea of one God, is no doubt established. Is no doubt established in the Old Testament. Now, we both agree that Moses came with Tawheed, that Abraham came with Tawheed, that even Jesus Christ came with the idea of believing in one God and worshipping one God. Now, the Christian narrative is as follows, that the truth has changed eventually. The Christian narrative is that, so Moses came with a certain truth, to believe in one God and to worship one God. Noah came with a certain truth, to believe in one God and to worship one God, and not to associate any partners with that God. That Abraham came with that. But that Jesus now came with a new truth, which is that there are three gods in one and one in three.
That's not true.
So you don't believe that that was something...
That's not true.
It's not true in what way?
That verse is not there.
What verse?
Yeah, what you just mentioned.
No, I'm not saying that Jesus said that.
Christians may believe this.
Yes.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
Like,
Go, let him speak.
For
Yeah.
example, in the Quran it talks about...
So Christians may believe this. Can you finish it? Yeah.
I'm going to come to that point.
I'm not saying that Jesus said this, by the way.
No,
Right, go
I
ahead.
know. But in the Quran it talks about the Jews that say that the Son of God is Ezra.
Yeah.
Yeah? And it says that there's Christians that believe that Mary is part of the Trinity.
No, it doesn't say that.
It doesn't say that.
Hold on.
It doesn't say that it's part of the Trinity.
Free. Free.
No, it doesn't say that. No, it doesn't say that.
Can you elaborate in the Quran then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't say... Well, I'm just saying, you said that it says in the Quran that Mary is part of the Trinity. I'm saying it doesn't.
Basically, God says,
Did you say that you and your mother...
No. Basically,
Yeah. That's a different verse.
What you got to understand is this.
Go on, let him
Many
speak.
types of Christians. There are Christians like yourself which are coming to the truth. Yeah?
Alhamdulillah.
There are Trinitarian Christians, there are Catholic Christians, there are all sorts of Christians. Now, do you accept that Catholic Christians worship Mary?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. And Trinitarian Christians will worship Jesus. Right. So Allah's asking Jesus, did you tell the people to worship your mother and me? He's not saying it's a Trinity.
Yeah, that's right.
But there are Christians who are believing Mary's to be worshipped, and there's some say Jesus to be worshipped. And God is saying to Jesus, did you tell them, give anyone this idea?
That's right.
And Jesus, no.
That's
so what this does, you see, this verse of the Quran, it slaps everybody at the same time.
That's right. So that's
Instead of giving response to the Catholics and response, it just knocks everyone out.
That's good.
It doesn't mention Trinity. Just I don't interpret.
No, he's right.
The free.
No, the only... Okay, look, there's about 2 or 3 verses, ironically enough, I think 2 verses in the whole Quran, Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, verse 174, where it says, وَلَا تَقُولُوا ثَلَاثًا تَهُ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. This is in, don't say 3, don't say Trinity. Stop, it's better than you. And there's another verse, I think in Surah Al-Ma'idah, which is the next surah, chapter 5, which it says, the ones who say that there are 3 gods, actually it doesn't even say that, it says that the ones who say that Jesus is the Son of God have become disbelievers.
And they're going to hell.
It doesn't say that they go to hell in this verse. It says it in chapter 98 of the Quran, verse 4. It says in Surah Al-Bayyinah, funny enough, you were talking about Bayyinah. It says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ. That's in Surah Al-Bayyinah, chapter 98 of the Quran. That certainly the people of the scripture that disbelieve are going to go to, and the polytheists will go to hell. Now, we're not denying that. What we're saying here is the following, right? That Abraham came with a message.
Can I ask a favor? I just want to go to the toilet. I'm going to come back.
Don't run away, please.
I promise.
No, do you know what?
I'll come back. I promise.
We'll resume.
Go to the toilet and we'll resume.
Inshallah. As soon as you come back, let us know,
Let me go
inshallah.
to the toilet. I'm not going to go down there. I'm going to go down there.
Alright. So,
I'm back in a minute.
I'll wait for you.
Trying to understand the Quran in a way that Sam Shimon or David Wood and Nabil Qureshi has told you to understand it, yeah? And it's not the ways to be understood. That's the problem. No, you
says that though.
You can't. The problem is, like I say to you,
Is the Quran a revelation from heaven?
look, your scripture we just went through, yeah? You don't even understand it yourself because you're saying things that are contradictory to one another. So the problem I have is if this is your book, a Christian for 20 years, and you're understanding your book in such a way, completely different to all the other Christians. Yeah, because most Christians, you're Christian. What are you? Atheist. Jew. Black Hebrew. Muslim. Huh? Agnostic. You don't follow no.
You don't follow anything, anybody.
You follow somebody. What is it? You're a Cameronite. You follow David Cameron. So, yeah, he'll go into his thing, yeah. What point was we on? What point was we on?
The real thing is there. The difference between me and most Christians, when you talk about the Father fathers and things like this. I don't believe in none of this. If it's in the Bible, I believe it. If it's in the Bible, I believe it.
Okay.
Outside of the Bible, I don't believe in anything. So I don't believe in the fathers and all this kind of stuff. So if the Bible says it, I believe in that.
Right. Okay, that's good. So you're just saying to me that if something is in the Bible, you believe in it. And if it's not in the Bible, you won't believe in it, right? That's okay, fine. That's your position. So you're a Christian, really, from that perspective. What I'm saying to you is, if you look at the Bible, the text of the Bible, and if you look at what the prophets came with, all of the prophets, from Abraham to Moses to Noah, all of these prophets, when they came to their people, they came with a very simple message, which is to believe in one God and to worship in one God. Do you agree with this?
Yeah.
We believe that this message did not change when the Prophet Muhammad came. When the Prophet Jesus came, right? First of all. And then we'll come to Muhammad afterwards. You're saying it did, but I'm saying it didn't. So it started with Jesus. The truth didn't change. In other words, would you agree with me now, the fact that Jesus said, that I submit my will to the Father, as we said in John chapter 5, verse number 30, and other verses, would suggest to you and me both that Jesus Christ was in fact a submitter to one God. He submitted to one God. He worshipped one God. When he went to the Garden of Gethsemane and he prostrated to the one God. I mean, all of the evidences signal to that reality, to the fact that Jesus Christ obviously believed in one God and worshipped one God. You're right. Do you see what I mean? So would you? Yeah, go ahead. Do you agree with that first of all?
Yeah, up to
you
this
do.
point, yes.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. All right.
But the thing that I'm talking about is that the commission that Christ had, yes, no man had it before him.
Sorry?
The commission of Christ. So, for example.
Sorry, I don't understand what you're saying.
That's what I'm telling you. You know the commission.
What do you mean by commission? Let's.
Commission. Are you a sinner?
Are you saying that?
Are you a sinner?
Yeah, I'm a sinner.
Is Prophet Muhammad a sinner?
No, we don't say that he's a sinner in the sense that he committed any of the major sins at all.
No, hold on. Did he sin? Yes or no?
No, we say that he didn't sin in that way. He made mistakes.
Hold on, brother. There's no such thing as a mistake.
Yeah.
Sin
no,
is sin.
Not. All right. No, we differentiate between sins and mistakes.
No, hold on. We go by God.
Yeah, okay. Well, we
God
differentiate.
says sin is sin.
Okay, that's in your okay.
We don't say like if I take this
Hold on.
and I throw it on that guy and it hurts him,
all right.
That's not a little sin.
So let me give you an example of what I mean. Yeah. So you're walking in the streets, yeah, and you have your phone and you drop your phone. Is that sin?
No.
But would that be like a mistake?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we are saying here.
No. Prophet Muhammad, did he commit sin?
We said that he committed mistakes in the sense that someone would like be falling over, slipping up, because he was a human being. But he didn't commit a sin in the sense that he did something intentionally.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
So
but before we talk about Prophet Muhammad, we're going step by step. So we're talking about Jesus Christ first.
Exactly. But I'm talking about the commission of Christ.
So when you say that commission, are you saying that Jesus Christ was unique in a way that no other human being was unique? I would accept that in the sense that he was the Messiah, okay? That he was the only one that I know of that had no father. Do you understand? He had no father, but obviously Adam had no mother and no father. So that's not a justification to believe that he's God or the Son of God. Me and you both agree on that now.
No,
yeah?
I believe he's the Son of God.
Okay, so you believe that he's the Son of God. So we'll come to that in a second. But the idea is, we would say that if you believe he's the Son of God, do you understand? You would have to apply the same logic to Adam, because Adam had no mother and no father.
Yeah, but he's the Son of God as well.
Okay, so when you say Son of God now, you're talking about the verse in Matthew, book of Matthew, chapter number 5, verse number 9, where it says, "Blessed be the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God." From that perspective, I have no problem with the syntax. What you're saying is, if people are peacemakers, linguistically it's all right to call them the sons of God, but they're not physically the sons of God. They're not begotten from God.
No, not begotten.
Right, he's not begotten, huh? Okay, fantastic. So we actually agree. So what we're saying is that he was a peacemaker, all right?
No, he's more than this.
Okay, no, he was more than a peacemaker. He was the Messiah. He cured
What do you understand the Messiah to be?
The Messiah, I believe the Messiah means the anointed one.
Anointed for what?
Anointed, classically speaking, the word Messiah comes from a Hebrew root. Some people in Arabic, they try to say it comes from Masaha, which means to wipe. But that's not correct. Okay, that's not correct. The correct opinion is that it comes from a Hebrew root. And this Hebrew root is, once again, to anoint someone. Because back in the days, they used to put like a little bit of oil on the heads of very special people. So we think that from that perspective, Jesus Christ, it was a man who was unique in his appointment and his selection from God. And from that perspective, he is the Messiah. He is the Messiah.
What do you understand Messiah to be? Because
so the anointed appointed one?
Yeah,
the appointed one?
The Jews understand the anointing of a Messiah to be something. What do you as a Muslim believe?
I've just told you. So the idea that he was anointed by God is almost, you can change the N into a P and say that he was also appointed by God. In the sense that he was selected, he was a man amongst many men that was selected for a mission that was chosen. This mission was to convey the message, the same message as all the other prophets, but to do so in a way which was a little bit different. So some of his miracles were unique, some of his circumstances were unique, and the fact that he was called the Messiah and all the other prophets were not called the Messiah, including the Prophet Muhammad, he wasn't called the Messiah, is unique, is a unique distinctive feature of the Prophet Jesus.
So as an example to show the difference,
can you see yourself? We don't believe, look, hold on, we don't believe that he ought to. Can you see, can I tell you something in logic, right? In logic you have a statement you make with a premise, an underlying premise. Your premise, can Muhammad die for your sins, has a hidden underlying premise, which is that he ought to. We say that God is powerful over all things, but that he doesn't choose to do all things. For example, God can do X amount of things. He doesn't choose to lie. Can God lie? God doesn't deceive. And we say that hold on, God doesn't deceive people in the sense that you're translating incorrectly. Okay, hold on. Again, once again, the Quran. No.
He misleads and he deceives.
All right, okay. You know, misleads. Okay, hold on. When we're talking about misleading people, yeah, who have a free will that decide to do the good thing, and we would say that that's not something that God would ever do. But he could decide to do that spiritually. Yeah, he could decide to, but he doesn't. Okay, look, hold on. You're saying that he deceives?
No, Quran.
Okay, forget about the Quran for now because.
No, we have to go.
Okay, do you want to talk about it? Go on.
We have to go by the verse.
Okay.
When you see
there's two words in the Quran that you could be referring to. The word kaid, innahum yakiduna kaidan wa akidu kaida, in chapter 88 of the Quran. Another word which is makar. Makar. ويمكرون ويمكر الله. يمكرون or makar, mim, kaf and ra, means to plot. To plot. Now, I don't know why some Christian or Orientalist people have taken this word to plot. Makr means to plot and changed it to deceive. I don't understand why.
Can I ask you something?
Go on.
In that verse.
Yeah, which one? The first or the second one? The plotting. Yeah.
It says the people that were plotting against Prophet.
There's more than, by the way, did you know how many
there's many verses?
No, the same verse repeats itself many times in the Quran. Okay. So all I can say is that using this word makar, mim, kaf, ra, these three letters in Arabic is to plot something.
Okay. So what I'm asking you, in that verse which is revealed against the enemy of Muhammad. Yeah. And they were plotting against him.
That's right.
Allah was plotting against them.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Did these people have the intentions to plot and deceive or to kill Muhammad?
No, they were plotting. They were just plotting.
No, they
were
were deceiving.
No, it's not about the. Look, once again, I'm telling you, I know I don't want to hurt your feelings here. I don't want to put you down, honestly. But take this more of a teaching thing, all right? So I want to teach you here, and I don't want to seem like I'm arrogant, honestly, or I'm putting you down or anything like that. You're a very intelligent person, and you're a very nice person. But take it from someone who knows the language, and take it from someone who's read the classical. Makar means to plot, right?
It doesn't mean to deceive.
It doesn't mean to deceive.
You sure?
Yes.
My brother, next week I'll be here.
All right, no.
We'll bring up the lexicon.
No, I'm telling you what it means.
My brother, you're a human being.
Right.
You can be wrong. Like
okay, no, fair enough. Makar means to plot. But even if, for the sake of argument, you can say...
In the Arabic language, one word does not mean just one thing.
Hold on. But in the scope of the word makar, you don't have deceive. Fine. Yeah, I agree.
Because if I said to somebody...
But you're telling me about Arabic.
To mislead, to lie.
No, not to lie. I'm sorry, bro. Now that is a lie.
To mislead.
Okay, not even that. No, okay. The word for mislead in the Quran is actually used is dalal. Dalal, or someone who's misled is dal. Is misled, and that's why we say in every verse, in every prayer, we say we don't want to be of the people who are dalin, the ones who are misguided. Do you understand? That is the Christian people.
That's Christian?
Because Christian people, yeah, because
every time they pray,
that is the Christian people.
Every time they pray, every day they pray.
Yeah,
They
we
talk
don't-
against the Christian.
No. We say that. No, hold on. Every time we pray, we say that we don't want to be like Christians. Hold on, let me tell you why. Christians, as you would agree, hold on, let me tell you. I'm not going to lie to you because I'm not a liar. We say that Christians are misled in the sense that they believe that Jesus is God, that Jesus is the Son of God. We think this is misguidance. So from that perspective, they are misguided, they are lost. Do you see what I mean? We're not saying that everything in Christianity is bad. We think that there are good parts of Christianity and there are bad parts of Christianity. As you would accept, you and I both agree that Jesus is not God. Do you agree with that? Now, according to the Nicene Creed, which was written in 325, May the 20th, at 12 o'clock, and all of the people were written, sitting down and establishing the creed, they said that you have to believe in Jesus Christ being God. So you go against, me and you we have something in common. Both of us accept that the Christian norm, that Jesus is God, is actually a false norm.
My brother, I'm not here to. Let me just make a point.
So if the Christian
I'm not here.
Jesus
My brother,
is God,
I'm not here.
because of that.
Yeah, so me and you accept that. So from that perspective, no, we're not enemies. We're not enemies. That's different. We're saying that you're misguided. Like, let me tell you what I mean. If I no, hold on. No, hold on. It doesn't say that you're enemies. It doesn't say that
He hates us.
No, he doesn't say that. No one in the Quran doesn't say that Allah hates Jews and Christians. Doesn't say
He
that.
loves the believers. He loves the believers.
Yeah, go on.
And he hates us.
He doesn't say the word karihiyya or
Does he love me?
is not mentioned in the Quran at
Does
all.
Allah
The word
love me?
hate in respect. Hold on.
Okay, does Allah love me?
No, hold on. Let me answer your question. Just because we want to be academic here, we want to be academic in our approach. You said in the Quran that it says that Allah hates the disbelievers. Now I'm saying to you that Allah never uses that terminology in the Quran ever. It's not mentioned there's not one verse in the Quran which says Allah hates anything. Listen to me. There's not one verse in the whole Quran. There's 6,236 verses, 114 chapters, 30 juz. There's not one verse in the whole of the Quran that says Allah hates. Allah says, Inna Allah la yuhib, and then he says whatever. Allah does not love those people. Allah does not love those people. It doesn't say he hates. There might be hadith that say that, but I'm talking about the Quran. The Quran doesn't say that, all right? So, and once again, we do accept the hadith, but your verse that you've just mentioned here is not in the Quran. So you have to be precise and academic. Do you understand? In your approach, you can't just say that it says this in the Quran and expect us all to believe.
No,
we don't believe. I know the Quran, so in the Quran doesn't
I
say that he
accept
hates.
your knowledge.
All right.
But what I'm saying to you is this: if Allah loves the believers, He sees me that believes in Isa as not a believer.
And then they believe in
Yes,
Isa.
absolutely, that's correct.
So then he says,
No, if
by
you-
definition, if you love this person because he
No.
No, hold on.
Yeah, go on.
By definition, if you love this person, this person who does not believe in that which you believe,
But look,
he hates them and they're going to
No, but hold on, excuse me.
Do you agree?
I agree with one thing, yeah? Now, hold on. I don't know why you're laughing. Christians believe the same thing about Muslims.
course.
Christians believe that Muslims are going to go to the hellfire.
Of course.
We don't believe that. Wait, let me just break it down for you in this way. We believe that Christians, the first Christians, which were in historical terms called the Ebionites, those Ebionites who believed the Prophet Jesus was a prophet and that he was the Messiah and that he was someone who was sent by God, yeah? And they believed in him in that capacity. We believe that they are true to their belief and that they...
Essenes, you mean?
Pardon?
The Essenes?
No, the Ebionites. You can check it up.
The Essenes. The Essenes. These are the ones that were the
I'm talking about the Ebionites.
No, the Essenes.
Okay, you can check it up on Google, right? You can check it up on Google. EBO. All right, that could be another group. Well, I'm saying EBONITES. This group were a group of people that believed that Jesus Christ was not God, was not the Son of God, but he was a prophet. That he believed that he preached he believed in one God, and he preached that you should worship one God. We believe this group are the true Christians. This group are the closest, and they, inshallah, we say, God willing, will enter heaven.
No, but these people were Muslims, weren't they?
Yeah, we say that they were Muslims in the sense that, they believed in one God and worship one God. Yeah.
Okay, so these people that were Muslims, where are they today?
Well, now they are the Muslims.
600 years, 600 years before Muhammad came, these were the Muslims. And according to chapter 66, I think, where it says that these people will be uppermost until the day of Qiyamah.
What are you talking about?
It says the Muslims who were Christians that said that we are disciples of God, he says that these people...
No, that's not chapter 16, that's chapter 3.
66.
That's chapter 3 of the Quran, Surah Al-Imran, where it says, وَجَعَلُوا الَّذِينَ آمنوا فوق الذين كفروا ليوم القيامة. The ones that we will establish the ones who are bigger, the ones who is referring to the disciples of Christians, disciples of Christ. Once again, I don't disagree with the fact that the initial disciples of Christ, the ones who truly believed in his message, which was to believe in one God and to worship in one God, and not to worship him as God. Since he says, no, look, I'm not saying where are they. It's a question. It's like how am I meant to answer it?
No, because these people,
they might exist.
They are.
Well, okay, they might exist. They existed historically. They may exist internationally. No. I'm just saying right now, Paul is not one of those individuals.
So John wasn't one.
John wasn't one. John, who you talk about when you say John? Because when we say John, we have in our books John as well. We have Yahya. Yeah. So we believe he was one of those people.
Right.
Yeah.
So these people, they established the church.
No. The church was established 300 years after death of Jesus, according to the Christian faith.
According to the scriptures.
No. What scriptures? What scriptures? The church fathers. No. Hold on. Just look at history, please. Again, let's look at history because you're saying.
By history, right? I agree with you. Let's go by history. You say in the Quran 600 years later that they're Muslim. Who? You say in the Quran. It says that these disciples were Muslim.
It doesn't say, okay, well, they are Muslim. I accept that, yeah.
Okay, but that's what the Quran says. So if they're Muslim, that means we know the definition of Muslim from Prophet Muhammad. Because you say a submitter to God is a Muslim.
Yeah, that's right.
So then these people, we know that these people established churches in Syria.
No, hold on. When you say these people, now you're becoming generic and you're de-scoping the argument and making it, you're making it really an unacademic argument. Who are these people? We have to really identify what we're talking about. What I'm saying to you, my friend, right now, is quite clear. Is that all of the prophets came with one message, and that message was to believe in one God and to worship in one God. We accept it. Jesus came with the same message. We accept it.
No, Christ came with not that message.
What did he come with then?
He came with the message that he was the savior of the world.
Okay, hold on now.
That's what his message.
All right, hold on. So you're saying now, you're changing your tone a little bit, and you're saying that, well, hold on, Christ, he didn't have, quick question, did or did not Christ come with the message that people should believe in one God and worship one God?
No.
He didn't come with that, he didn't tell people to believe in one God.
His message...
But hold on, that contradicts the Bible, my
friend.
No, it doesn't. It does.
I'll tell you why.
No, but didn't he tell the people to believe in one God?
No, hold on.
Yes or no?
Let me tell you what he did.
I mean, did he tell the people to believe in one God?
I'm going to answer you.
Did he or not?
The message was given by Jibril.
Okay.
And the first message that was given, you will have a son who will save the world.
I'm just asking you a question, please.
That's his message.
I'm asking you a question right now. He might have said many things, as he did. No. If you get a red letter Bible, you'll see. He said lots of things. But what I'm saying to you is, amongst the things that the most pertinent things, the primary thing that Jesus came with was telling the people that they should believe in one God and they should worship one God. No. You don't say that was the primary thing. Okay, what was the primary thing?
The Bible says the very first thing that he did, he told people to repent. The message was from before.
So you don't believe that he said that you should worship in one God? Or submit your will to the Father?
There was two people that was born around the same time. There was Yahya and there was Christ.
Hold on.
Yahya was the forerunner to Christ.
All right, so
Yahya said that repent.
I'm just asking you a question. I'm not saying that that's not correct. I agree.
About Yahya?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not
say about
good things. Good things. He was a good man.
Did he talk that Yahya prophesied about Christ?
No, it says good things about it. Like he said, they were around at the same time.
The Quran's Yahya does not talk about that he was a forerunner to Christ. So what is that? And then the forerunner is the one that was leading the way to the Messiah.
Listen, come here.
And the Messiah was born to save us from our sins. That's what Jibril said.
All right, so what I'm going to say to you is this once again, right? We agree that both of us agree that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, that he came with the miracles, that he cured the blind, and he raised the dead with God's permission.
Yeah, but why though?
Do you know what we believe the reason is why?
Yeah.
Right. We believe that all of the prophets came with two primary things, right? And you can compartmentalize it in whatever way you want to categorize it, but we believe that the prophets came with two primary things. One thing was that they believe they would come with the message being to believe in one God and to worship one God, right? Simple message, a pure message, well, hold on, I'm just telling you what we believe, and then you can say what you want now. We believe that this is a pure message, yeah, and a message which appeals to the human predisposition. Meaning, we as Muslims believe that every human being is born with this predisposition, this inclination to believe in a higher entity, right? And this higher entity has certain qualities, and we call him Allah. Other people can call him whatever name they want to call him, but we believe that this entity exists. All of the prophets came with this primary message, which was to believe in one God and to worship in one God. You see? Now, having said that, Jesus Christ, we believe, came with exactly the same message. Now, it wouldn't make sense, it would not make sense to suggest, and we both agreed on this at one stage, that, for example, Abraham, Moses would come with one message, and then that message would change now, the truth would be bended, would change also, with Jesus Christ coming, and and now it's become a different...
My brother.
Yeah, exactly, I agree with you.
It did not bend anything.
Exactly, you're right, I agree with you.
I'll give you an example. Why did the Muslims...
He wants to ask you a question. What's your name, sorry?
Anthony.
Anthony, my friend. You shake my hand.
Good that you are very patient and talking.
Yes.
Like the other man was asking, what is the revelation that Jesus Christ came with? Jesus Christ did not come with revelation.
Revelation?
No, the revelation was already there and he was in him.
Yeah, so we believe that Jesus Christ said in the Bible, he said in the Bible, I did not come to change any letter of the laws or the prophets, I've come to affirm them. All right, so hold on. The laws are the laws of Moses, isn't it?
Yeah, but what was the law of Moses?
So you have the Torah and you have the Old Testament.
What was the law of Moses?
I'm just answering you right now. And the commandments.
Love your brother.
No.
So what you tell me?
The law of the Torah was this: that you're a sinner, and that every year, once a year, you have to come before your Lord for atonement.
Okay, now that's something you've just said, but that's not even in the Bible.
Yom Kippur.
Okay.
What do you mean Yom Kippur?
No, hold on. We accept that, but we do accept that there's a day of atonement, all that kind of things. We do accept that. Yeah. Even the Quran, it talks about a Sebebt, which is the Sabbath. The Sabbath. Yeah.
No, that's not to do with the law.
No, but hold on. We talk about different things here. But what we're saying is, in general,
a Sabbath is just a ceremony they observe. It's not something they were observing.
Right. Okay. But we're not disagreeing on these points here. We're not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you, my friend. I'm trying to find points of agreement. Yeah. We agreed, and there's no need to disagree here, that Jesus Christ came with the same message.
No.
So, okay, why in the Bible?
The message that Christ...
What was the message? What was the message?
You know the message.
What was it? To believe in one God, to worship one God?
No. That's not the message.
So he didn't say that you should believe in one God and worship one God?
The message was given by the angel that this man...
Okay, even if you want to say that he was a savior, we'll give you that, in the sense that if you follow Jesus Christ, you'll be saved. Yeah? I accept that. The people at the time of... Yes. Hold on, let me tell you. The people at the time of Jesus Christ, they had no choice but to follow Jesus Christ. We believe that.
No, there were people who were not following him.
Yeah, they were wrong.
There were people who were not following him.
Yeah, we believe they were wrong, not on the right path. Yeah? So the ones who followed Jesus Christ were on the right path.
Right.
At that time.
Yes. That when he
the ones who didn't follow Jesus Christ were on the wrong path.
His message was, Christ's message was, that I am the atonement for your sin. That's what his message.
Okay, but listen.
That made him unique.
Okay, now let me say something. You're saying that he had unique messages. I'm not saying... What I'm saying to you is the following, right? I'm not saying that he didn't come with some things that other prophets didn't come with. But what I'm saying, the primary thing, because even in the Quran it says that, وَلِيُحِلَّ لَكُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي حُرِّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ, that Jesus came to make some things lawful that were made unlawful to you before, in chapter 3 of the Quran. What I'm saying to you is that Jesus Christ's primary message was not different, was not dissimilar, was not changed from the prophets that came before. He didn't change the truth.
My brother.
Do you see? I understand. He didn't change the truth. He came from the Lord above. He came from the Lord above. The Lord above told him certain things, and he had no choice but to relay it the same way that he heard it from the Lord. Do you understand that?
Why did God send the prophets?
No one disagrees with that in Christianity.
Why did God send the prophets?
What do you disagree with here?
I'm going to ask you, because you say that Christ and the prophets are the same. I'm going to show you that
I'm telling you that.
You know the prophets? Why did God send the prophets?
Okay, God sent the messengers and the prophets to narrate this message, to believe in one God and to worship in one God. What did he send them for then?
Every prophet was sent to tell them to repent.
Okay, that's part of the process.
They'd gone astray.
Repent to who? Repent to who?
They're gone astray.
Repent to who?
They must come back to their Lord.
Okay, now I agree with you.
And then,
now I agree with you.
Then what happened is...
Okay, now I agree with you, fine.
Okay, good. Yeah. So then now these people, they had to come back because they were following Baal,
so you're saying,
all other gods.
All right, so now we both agree that all the prophets came. Listen to me carefully, so we can agree here, because there's no point of artificially disagreeing. Look, guys, we're not here as like, you know, Arsenal, Manchester United, like, you know, I'm red and you're blue. We're here to find truth. Seeketh the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Shall set you free, my friend, right? Amen, brother, amen. Amen, brother. Seeketh the truth. Now, al-haq, which means the truth in Arabic. Now, what I'm saying to you is this, is that you just said, and I'm going to use your words, all of the prophets came to tell the people to repent and to go back to God. I agree with you.
And we are there any notice, I'm a layman.
Yes.
At least I'm coming in.
Yeah.
We are there any notice for any coming prophet to be prophesied about, this prophet is coming, this prophet is coming.
Okay, I'll tell you about that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
He asked the question, he's a layman, he wants to know, he's a Christian, were there any prophecies in the Bible that talked about a different prophet coming in the future? Now, if you look at the Old Testament, we as Muslims will maintain that it says in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18, that Moses was talking about a people forthcoming and a prophet forthcoming, and he said that he shall be from your brethren. Now, he's speaking to who? The children of Israel. If he's speaking to the children of Israel, the brethren...
Those are the brothers of Moses.
That's right, that's right, absolutely. Now, we know for a fact that Abraham had two, you could say, he had a wife and a concubine. Abraham had a wife and a concubine, Sarah and Hajar, yeah? So from Sarah, we have, we have Isaac and Ishmael, etc. Actually, Isaac. Ishmael come from Hajar, yeah? Now, we both agree on this.
Abraham had 4 wives.
Okay, so
do you know that?
No, what I'm saying to you is what we all agree. We all agree with.
After Sarah's death. All right, after
we agree on Hajar and Sarah. But the other two we'll have to look into it as a point of reference. Okay, because it's not mentioned in the Quran.
And they have children also.
Okay, it's no problem. That's very nice. But what I was going to say to you, right, is that so we know that the Hajar came to Arabs, people like me. From Hajar came Ishmael.
From Hagar.
Yeah, Hagar. Yeah. Hagar.
That's not true.
So what? Who's Ishmael then?
Who was Hagar in Abraham's house?
I'll give you an example.
Who was Hagar?
Why is it the case that think about it? We speak Arabic and how? Look, hold on. You know how easy? Hold on. No, it's not very similar, my friend. You have to understand something. This stuff is historical. This stuff is traceable. Like, can I tell you something, right? The Arabs and the Jews, despite the differences, right? The political differences.
Are you telling me there was no Arabs before Ishmael?
There's no Arabs before?
Are you telling me there's no Arabs before Ishmael?
I'm saying that. Yeah, I am saying that.
Then then that means there's a problem.
Why's that a problem?
Because when Joseph,
Arabic wasn't even around.
No,
hold on. Excuse me. No, he wasn't. Abraham wasn't from Egypt.
Hagar. No, hold on.
Let's look at the historical timeline once again. Now, if you look at the historical timeline, what is the Middle East now? Obviously, there's countries that you see, the Arab countries, yeah? Now, Abraham, we both accept that he was from the Mesopotamian Empire. So, Mesopotamia, right? Now, Mesopotamia was in present-day Iraq. Right. So these countries, at that time, Abraham didn't speak Arabic, did he? No, he didn't. Of course he didn't. So the language that he spoke was different to Arabic. Obviously, his sons, he had 2 sons that we know of, Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael, you have from that, the Arabs. And you know, it's so, if you just...
So the Arabs were in Egypt.
I hear you, brother.
No.
Were the Arabs in Egypt at that time?
No.
Because Hagar was from Egypt.
No. I'm not saying that Hagar was an Arab.
Wasn't that why he said the son of what come from?
No, Ishmael and his sons now are Arabs.
My brother, we got one problem. In the Quran,
no, they were not.
My brother,
You want to tell me? What you tell me? I believe it.
My brother.
When Abraham was trying to share the property, he sent them towards the Arab area.
Look, come on, my friend. Look, it's look, hold on. Let me deal with one thing. What part of the world did Abraham come from? Would you agree that he was Mesopotamian? That he came from Mesopotamia? Yes or no? Mesopotamia, that empire, you know, Babel. Babel is a center of Mesopotamia, yeah? It's mentioned in the Bible, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Abraham.
It's mentioned in the Quran too.
Yeah. Babel is mentioned in the Quran as well, in chapter 2 of the Quran. Okay. Now, having said that, In chapter 2 of the Quran, Babel is mentioned. But as I was, but I was saying, what I was mentioning to you right now.
The Bible says Abraham got Hagar from Egypt.
No,
when he went do the famine,
look.
crossed over to Egypt.
This is no one disagrees with this. By the way, Christians don't have to disagree with me on every point. Yeah, even the points that, brother, come here.
What is his name?
Tessie, quick, let's wrap this up. Because I think it's getting a bit long for the viewers. So let's wrap this up, right? What I was going to say is that we shouldn't disagree on points of agreement.
No, but you know.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you.
No, what I mean, hold on, Tessie.
I agree with you.
Why are we disagreeing on points that
because first
of agreement?
The premise is going one way, right? I believe in a savior, which
right,
the angel Jibril said.
All right, hold on.
You believe in another way of being saved, and you also believe.
Yeah. What I'm saying to you.
I don't believe in that same.
No, hold on.
Hello, brother. How you doing?
You're still here?
I'm always here, my brother.
I thought you vanished.
Never.
You sure?
Never.
All right. So what I was going to say to you was, it's simple, really simple argument. It's a very, you know, the Quran says something really interesting, very similar, very simple. It's a very pure verse of the Quran. It says in chapter 3 of the Quran, ما كان إبراهيم يهوديا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا مسلما وكان من المشتركين. That Abraham, listen to this argument, please.
Yeah, you read it in Arabic, so you have to.
Yeah, I have to explain it now because the people want to know what I'm talking about.
Whether you will add or subtract.
It says Abraham wasn't a Jew, and he was not a Christian.
He was an Arab.
Listen to me, what it says in the Quran. No. Listen, Abraham wasn't a Jew, and he wasn't a Christian. ولكن حنيفا مسلما. He was upright and submissive to his one Lord, which in Arabic is Muslim. That's what the word is. وما كان من المشركين. And he wasn't someone of the polytheists. Abraham could not have possibly been a Christian because Christ wasn't around, so he couldn't have followed Christ.
No.
He couldn't have possibly been a Jew because Judaism is named after Judah, which is one of the sons of Jacob, and he was before that. He was before that, so he couldn't have been a Jew. Therefore, he believed in one God, he submitted himself to one God, and he worshipped one God. Yes or no?
Would not have been a Jew.
Because
that means,
let me answer that question.
So
Abraham couldn't have been a Jew because the word Judaism comes from Judah, Yahuda, who is one of the 12 sons of who?
Muslim.
Who is he one of the 12
sons? Muslim.
Hold on. Who is he one of the?
Only in the Quran.
Huh?
Nowhere else before the Quran.
That's not true.
Show me the word. Anywhere in any literature, the word Muslim.
Look, man. Look, you're talking about languages you have no idea of. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary, my friend.
The word Muslim.
It's extraordinary. Even in the Bible, the idea of submission.
No, I'm not talking about idea.
No, that's what the word means. That's what the word means. You have to understand. Are you telling me this?
There was no Muslim, there was no Christian.
My friend, listen to me. I didn't say that.
The word Muslim was first uttered in the Quran.
Listen to me carefully. My argument is as follows: that Abraham was someone who submitted their will to God. Now, this idea of submitting your will to one God is called Islam. That's what it's called. Islam.
Do you know that Satan also knows that there's one God?
Pardon?
Satan
also. Yeah, we know.
He knows that there's one God.
That's true.
So his submission to God?
Yeah. No, we say the difference.
Knowing that one God does not mean
we say the difference. You're right.
I'm lying, my brother.
No, you're right. No, the difference is, my friend Anthony, is that Satan, he believed in one God.
Yeah, Satan believed in one God.
Yeah. He believed in one God. He believed in one God, but he did not worship one God.
No, but when you're talking,
can you see the difference? Now, the Christians are quite similar. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, honestly. You're a nice guy, and you've got a very playful shirt. I don't want to hurt your feelings. And any Christian that's watching this, please don't take offense. But what I've just said, I'm not trying to do a propaganda thing here, but it's just quite a straightforward argument. That Christians are quite similar to Satan. I know it's...
To Satan?
It's Satan himself. Let me tell you why.
Yeah, tell us.
He just said that Satan believed in one God. We both agree with that. In the Quran it says that, and in the Bible it said that. But Christians and Satan... Hold on, let me just finish.
Believing in one God is not a new theory.
I agree.
It's not a new theory.
But no, let me just finish this. Christians and Satan have one thing in common. That despite believing in...
What about Muslims? They don't believe in one God.
Hold on, we do believe in one God.
Muslims don't believe in one God.
But let me just finish, let me finish the sentence.
Because Satan believes also in one sentence.
Okay, no, I'll say it. I'll explain.
We draw it. If that is it, Christians don't only believe in one God. Muslims also believe in one God. So they are also like Satan.
Satan and Christians have one thing.
Like Satan. No.
I'll tell you why.
No, I'm not going to listen to it because
no, I didn't say compare. I'm okay, fine. I'm not going to do it. Fine. I revolved for you.
Muslims believe in one God. Christian believe in one God, the Satan believe in one God, and you compare Satan to Christian.
No, okay,
so
okay.
Muslim are also compared to Satan.
Okay, fine. In that sense,
do you agree to that?
No, I agree that all three of us believe in one God. Well, I was going to say that the difference between, my point was this, I don't want you to feel sad. I will withdraw the statement even though I believe it's true. So I don't want to make you upset. What I believe is that the similarity is this.
Christian don't
Let me tell you this, hold on, let me finish. Let me talk to each other, please.
That's your problem.
Let me just finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me just finish what I'm saying.
Satan, right?
No, I didn't say that. I said that. No, hold on. He said that Satan believes in one God, and we agree that he believes in one God, but he doesn't worship him. We say that, okay, fine. The same applies now with Christians. Why? Because Christians believe in one God, but now they don't only worship one God, they worship one God and Jesus Christ as God as well. Do you agree with that?
Okay.
Shake my hand.
Right, so my point is, I'm believing as the Son of God that came in the flesh.